Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, the show where we dive into how digital marketing agencies are using paid media to drive real growth for their clients and for themselves. From planning to ROI and everything in between, we uncover the strategies, stories, and systems that set agencies apart. Each episode, we'll talk with agency leaders who are innovating with paid media, scaling their businesses, and delivering results that matter. Whether you're looking to expand your services or sharpen the edge of your current offerings, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, where we sit down with marketing leaders, agency founders, and growth-minded innovators to break down the strategies and mindset shifts shaping modern marketing trends today. Today's guest is Alex Skinner, the founder and driving force behind Keystone Digital Services, a marketing, web design, and digital strategy agency dedicated to helping brands build strong digital infrastructure that drives meaningful growth. Welcome to the show, Alex. Can you share a little bit more about Keystone Digital Services and the work that you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And then quick apologies to the people who have to listen to my voice, or maybe you'll think my voice sounds awesome. So don't normally sound like this, getting over something, but we'll make it through this together. Keystone. So Keystone was born out of necessity. It was a pretty awesome experience to have, coming up on 3 years in April. So I was, agencies have been struggling. A lot of different reasons for that: economic factors, environmental factors, new technologies coming around that are making a lot of changes. So I was let go. I often just own it as I got fired from the job that I was at. And then I had this epiphany that I never want that to happen again. I never want somebody else to have my livelihood and my family's livelihood in their control ever again. So we started Keystone Digital Services, my brother and I, in 2023, based off of what I had learned in previous agency experience of what is a good experience for employees to create the best possible work so that they do not get burnt out and can provide results for their clients, results being the most important thing, revenue being the most important of all the results that we drive. So Keystone is very revenue focused, and we try to get into the business finances as much as people are willing to let us, so that we can keep them in business and make sure that they are growing.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and also happy almost anniversary. We're recording in end of February, so by the time this airs, it might actually be your anniversary month. But
Hey,
yeah.
hopefully.
So your website emphasizes a lot about transparency, accountability, and innovation. How do those values play out day to day with your team and clients? I think you bring such a wealth of knowledge from your past experiences. I'm curious, what does that
Right.
translate
So
into?
with transparency, like a lot of stuff that we would talk about in agency, especially account managers, which is where I thrived essentially at my previous agency, working with people, a lot of it was about framing and how you frame certain things to people, which, don't get me wrong, I think the idea of framing is a really important thing and skill set to have. But what I noticed is, as we were talking about framing, it was more along the lines of borderline, I don't want to say lying or deceit, but borderline fudging. Fudging isn't even the right word either. It's like, let's just show people the good things. And what I found out in my relationships with people is they like knowing, like, they just wanted to know somebody was paying attention. All a client cares about is that you care about and tend to their business. And what happens is you get a horrible client, someone who's super, super scary, right? And you're just like, oh, whenever something bad happens, they get really mad. But usually that person is getting mad because of some other experience that they've had with another agency, maybe a different account director at your company. And they have been conditioned to, I'm the one who finds all the problems. Here's a problem. Here's a problem. Here's a problem. What you really need to do is start finding those problems earlier on for them, bring them to them, and then they go, oh, you found this thing. You found this thing. You found this thing. So transparency for us is probably the most important value that we have, or it's when things are going bad or when things aren't working or tests that we had didn't go the way that we hoped it would, we own it. And we said, this is what we have learned from it. And this is what we're going to do moving forward, which is awesome for your employees because now they have no clients that are scary. Like we have no scary clients. And the irony is one of the clients that we have right now is a former client from the company that I was at previously, and they were the scary client. But they're no longer scary because we have just changed the way that we go about that framing, if we want to go back to that, where it's not, oh my gosh, I want to hide this thing or keep it from you because you're going to get so mad. It's, here's the information. This is what we're going to do now. And they're like, oh, good. We have a steward. We have a person who is taking care of us as a brand who's paying attention. But the way that I like to look at it is like whenever you call into like customer service and the people who are trying to do whatever they can to help you in a scenario, the people who feel like they care, they're usually the ones that you don't get mad at. It's the people who feels like a job are the ones that people start to get a little bit upset with. So caring is just one of the most important human emotions. Think of any relationship you've been in. The better ones are the ones where you feel loved. Let's use love for personal relationships. And then in these professional ones, cared for. So transparency is like the most important thing. And it's just decreased the level of anxiety that team members have because all of our clients just trust us so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of love that. You kind of mentioned about like it feels like learning, right? You're actually being able to bring it ahead of time and it feels like because you care, right? Like you're not just like letting it roll, you're actually paying attention. So I think that's amazing. You guys offer everything from web design and branding to marketing campaigns. So how do you decide which services to focus on for your, clients individually?
Wherever the pain points are. So in the sales process, when we're talking to them, it's always what are the things that they have always struggled with and haven't been able to find resolutions for. So a lot of the times, whenever we come onto account, what we notice is the most common thing is attribution, which is something that you cannot see until you are brought on or given access to things. Because it's very easy. I mean, you can go to our website. Go to anybody's website, go audit anybody's marketing campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. You're always going to find something that is wrong. There's no agency that bats 1,000. If there was an agency that batted 1,000, all of us would be out of jobs because they get success every single time. So they would get all of the clients. We're human, we're fallible, we make mistakes. And where I see the biggest mistake being made is not necessarily in the strategy or execution or anything like that, but it's being able to see what value you are actually bringing to someone. An example of a client that we just pitched, hopped into their account and said, okay, how much money did you make off these campaigns? Like, we have no idea. Do you know who this lead was the one lead you got this month? Do you know who that is? They're like, we do not know who that lead is. I'm like, well then, because that you could look at that, I could go into there and be like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. You had one lead. Oh, I can't believe it. But if that one lead closed and we knew who that lead was and they were a multi-million-dollar deal, who cares that we just had one lead? This is actually a successful campaign.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people who jump into accounts and just want to tear apart the agency previous to it, when really all that matters is like, what was the impact on the bottom line? And most companies cannot answer that. So that's what we focus on the most. And we start off as like, we need to get attribution set up, and then everything else just falls into place because you start seeing what stuff is making money, invest more into that, invest more into that. Great. This thing has maxed out what we can invest into it. Let's start investing in something else. And as I just want to take a step back here, as I'm doing this, I know that to everyone's like, that sounds like what you should do. That sounds like you're not preaching rocket science here. Like, marketing to me is not a highly skilled job. Anybody can learn how to do marketing. Marketing is just testing. Do you like testing and learning how to do things? So I don't want to come across like I'm this know-it-all. All of our clients have 100 1000x'd all of their goals and expectation. Like there
Right.
are people that we struggle with and people that we have great success with. So I want to make sure I say that before I start bloviating too much over here like I'm the greatest marketer of all time. Because humility is also incredibly important in this, because if you're not humble, you're just going to do stupid things all the time.
Right. And that's when people get defensive too, right? If you think that there's no, like that's when
Right.
you're creating that like weird dynamic, right? And then you're shifting that energy to the other person as well. So
Well,
you
can I ask?
touch. Oh yeah.
Can I ask you really quick? Like,
Yeah.
because every now and then I like to make myself feel good. Like, how do you feel about like with the clients that you work with or clients that you onboard? Let's say it that way. Like attribution. Like, I'll just ask you straight up. What's the most common? Like, oh, we got to get this fixed.
Oh gosh, that is a loaded question. It's a good question. I think that the attribution side is everything you've been talking about, and also your clients understanding and knowing, and then what happens when they fill out that funnel. Like you said, the lead, what happened to them after? What was that conversion point? What did that lead look like? And what's that sales process, right? Maybe it didn't happen this month, but yeah, connecting those the attributions, I think is huge. I think it's something that was, in the digital space, a lot easier, but still difficult to track sometimes, right? If there's certain things that aren't set up a certain way, or if your sales process requires them to set up a meeting, come, and there's still more to it. Yeah, no, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
I know.
I'm
I think
just curious
working with your
because
clients to like figure out what does that look like, right? And I have a few clients that have a number of different things, right? Like we want people to fill this side of the funnel. We need people to fill this attribution. And then I have a client right now that does it really well. Like they are on top of their lists, their follow-up, their tech, everything. And they know where those people are. They have updates they've got. So like that also is a part of the deal, right? You can do so much as a marketer, but you do have
can
to.
I ask another question then?
Yeah.
Obviously we're not like saying out loud names of clients. I'm sure we have NDAs and stuff like that. Would you say, based on that client that you were just describing, would you say that client has the best trajectory for financial growth? Or do you think some of your other clients do?
I think that this client absolutely does because of how they manage what happens. They're not a big spender. They're pretty new. They're pretty new to the scene, but they are acquiring a second location. It's kind of a franchise opportunity, but because of what they've been doing, again, not crazy huge, but they are so good at, they know the number of leads that we know what we're bringing, right? And then there's the follow-up on their side and what they're doing. So it's all relative, right? They're not
Right.
our biggest spender. There's people who are going to spend much more money, but they are doing what they can well and managing what they've got well. And I think that makes a big difference.
And they're not the biggest spender now. That could change.
Yeah.
Like not that you were saying otherwise, but I think the most frustrating part of like what we're discussing right now is the idea that so few people do this. They have the process, like a standard operating procedure of from contact to lead to sale, like whatever their flow is.
Right.
And yet the positive of this is, and there are still businesses who are successful who don't have perfect flows and attributions. So if you're ever getting down on yourself, I'm really big into entrepreneurship and like people building their own businesses. Like, just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect and you can still be successful. But if you want to scale, I do think you have to have those processes built out incredibly well, or else you're going to hit stagnation at some point. And why don't people focus on this? Not to get like overly dramatic. I'm sure people are like, why is this guy so mad about this? It's just like, why isn't that like priority number one? Like great customer service, obviously great product. I think great customer service can make a bad product a better product, but great customer service, great product, and then a great flow. And yet so many people don't do that. And I'm
Yeah, I
guilty of
love
it in
how
some ways. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think you've kind of talked about this performance-based marketing. I love how you say that, and just like it allows you and your clients to sleep well at night. So, we've kind of talked about this already, but are there any certain metrics that matter more to you, or does that vary based on? There's so many metrics, right? And you can focus on some, and this goes back to the selling thing, right? You're like, let's focus here. we, you know, uh,
Whatever metric we have that gets us the closest to revenue is the
mhm.
most important metric. Like there's one client similar to the client that you were describing that's just like, we literally know dollar for dollar
Yeah,
what we spend and how much money we made off of like the sales team, their commission, this, and it's just crystal clear. And it's just like, great. This month it was $19 for every dollar.
mhm.
Awesome. Great. Good for them. Congratulations to their business owners and the profits that they'll be
Right,
cutting off of that.
right.
And then there's other people who don't have it built
Yeah,
in as well, where it's more just, well, like the lead, um, the sales life cycle is so long, like we don't really know. And
right.
I'm just like, we need like it's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of resources. We have to create attribution better because we could be getting a bunch of leads from our and have no idea that they're actually really, really bad or really, really good. We're doing this
Right.
all off of like feelings and feelings. Though, hey, I'm very pro people having emotions and sharing those emotions. But when it comes to marketing, emotions aren't going to pay the bills at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also we've talked about this a lot. It seems like there's a theme about even like the testing, learning, being able to ebb and flow and watch the metrics, right? Like what are people responding to? And sometimes it's not what you think it is. Like, you think, oh, like they're probably tired of seeing this one ad. This client in particular, we've done creative a bunch of different times. And you know what's crazy? The number one video has remained the number one video, and we always kind of go back to it, and we're like, you know what? Like we've A/B tested, we've done all these, we've done A, B, C, D, E testing, and so having that those kind of conversations to be able to it's not necessarily mistakes, it's learning. We think that it could go one way, and we think that they're getting tired of it, but they're not apparently. So,
No, absolutely.
um,
And
yeah,
to answer your question even further and add on to that, like I used to teach marketing courses, and I would ask my students what makes good content. Because we have like best practice, like, oh, this is this type of headline you have to have
yeah,
this, you have to have this, you have to have this. But the answer is simple. Great content does what you want it to do. If it doesn't do what you want it to do, it's not good content. It doesn't matter how sexy it is. It doesn't matter how much your team loves it, how much like, oh, the video editor who put all this time like loved how it turned out. If it doesn't generate revenue, which is like, or like maybe it's just an awareness campaign. Like, hey, we want 1 million eyeballs on this.
yeah.
All right, great. We got 1 million eyeballs on it. Content did what we want it to. A lot of like what we do does deal more with like the revenue based thing
Mhm.
that we've been chatting about. But really, when it comes down to anything that you're doing, just another client, somebody, a friend reached out to me like,
Yeah.
hey, do an audit of this agency. How is their content doing? Just like, let's start with goals first. What is your goal of this content so I can
Yeah.
judge it? Like we were trying to get email signups that lead email signups via a quiz that lead to them joining our course. I'm like, okay, let me go see how many people have joined your course
Yeah.
from this piece of content. None. This content was not successful. So funny. They said that we had 2,000 people who visited from this piece of content. All I can see based on the analytics that you have given me access to, these haven't generated any of the results that you hope to. And then other agencies are like the way that they position, like, well, we've generated awareness for the brand. We got awareness for you. And so like now people are like familiar with the brand and like maybe they'll come back second point, third touch point, fourth touch point, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But at the end of the
Right.
day, if your goal is to get email signups, then get them to the course that you want them to. These pieces are not doing that. So if your goal is awareness, they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
2,000 sessions is fantastic. So if I was going to add to what the initial question was originally, like, what is your goal? Now I can tell you what metric I'm going to be looking at to ensure that we're achieving those goals for you.
Yeah. Um, Kind of shifting gears for a second. So, with so many platform options, we've got social, CTV, Netflix, Hulu, all the different things. How do you decide when it's time for a client to expand channels? If it's something you've got them kind of like, how do you decide? What do you do?
That's the question. That is like the hardest. That is the hardest question because everything is going to require scope and require additional
Yeah.
costs. So what I like to do, I I use the Little Mermaid for my marketing advice, which is I want to be where the people are. So
Yeah.
wherever your people are, we need to make sure that our message is there. So for a client, LinkedIn might not make sense, but we definitely need to be on TikTok, or we need to be on Google because people are doing Google searches. We're an ecom brand where it's heavily saturated by Amazon listings that are showing up for it. All right, cool. Then that means we have to be on Amazon if we want to be profitable. That's where I start is like, where are our people? How we go about expanding our services with them to get to where more of those people are is essentially, and it's the hardest thing in the world, but your competitors there, I don't know how much money they're making, but it's essentially like, like, would you jump off a bridge if your friend jumped off a bridge? Of course I would. It's going to be a blast if they went and jumped off a bridge, depending on how high the bridge is.
Right. Right.
Um,
Did they
could be
do
an
it
absolute
safely? I mean,
blast.
did they
Yeah,
live?
yeah, exactly.
Then I'm in.
That has been like the most successful way of getting people to expand into those other
Yeah.
um not demographics, into those other channels.
Yeah.
But the most successful way is we have built such a strong relationship with so many of our clients over time. Like we've lost one client and we've fired another one in the 3 years that we've been doing this. So we're just growing and growing because nobody is going away. Because of the relationships that we have built, when we come with a suggestion, most clients just do it because they've seen the success that we've had with the other channels that we have used before. So for any agencies out there, like, how do we get people to expand? It's like, you build that relationship as strongly as possible, and then you can do whatever you want. Like, that's a big push for us right now is getting onto Reddit with all of our clients.
Yeah.
I just had an employee for one of our solar companies. I won't say what the search was, but I'll say it was solar location, best solar location. He created a Reddit post in there and then started upvoting people who were talking about our company that we represent, and then
Yeah.
added some internal links there. That started ranking within 24 hours, spot one on Google. And so
Wow.
that is a really big thing for us. And so we have the use case that we can show them. But our big thing is we need to be where all of the conversations are being had right now. So going back to Ariel, we want to be where the
Yeah.
people are. Where are people talking? People are talking in so many locations right now. They're using Perplexity, they're using ChatGPT, they're using Claude, they're using whatever LLM AI tool. They're using Reddit still. They're still using Google. They're using Gemini. Anyways, I could just, oh wow, you can name so many different tools that people use, dude. That's so awesome. How do we get into as many of those conversations as possible has led us to creating content that historically our clients have been scared to create.
Mm.
And now we're starting to create that content. It's like, do you want your competitor or some jabroni on Reddit giving the answer to this question that we can answer? No,
Yeah.
we want people to see us. We need to give the answer to this question that people have. So I feel like I was a little bit all over the place right there,
No, I
trying to
love
answer
it.
a question.
Although I am gonna I have Little Mermaid stuck in my head, so thank you for that.
I
But
got you. Hey, that's what we're here for. We're here for
but
movie and musical references.
yeah, I mean it's really good stuff that you're talking about, and I think it's really applicable. So I love it. tell me tell me about some of the biggest misconceptions you think clients might have about how long they should expect to see results from paid media. I mean, I know it varies. Sometimes you're surprised, but are there any common misconceptions out there you come across?
That it will, I mean, the most common one is it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, you turn on ads, you start getting results. You turn on ads, you start getting results. So that's the most common thing that we see when we're working with new clients in particular.
Yeah.
But the way that you navigate those is similarly just having conversations with them and letting them know that that is not realistic. Depending, like, honestly, it really depends on like the industry that somebody is in. Because there are some brands where I'm just like, we will start seeing sales tomorrow. Like we'll start making sales immediately. I know your brand is strong, as a very strong brand. Like, we'll start making sales immediately as we're doing this. And then there are other companies, especially lead gen, I feel like, where it's a little bit different, where it's like, let's give it some time, let the accounts optimize, and we'll get there. But in my experience, and does everyone want to know a little secret? I got a little secret. The reason that agencies, especially when it's like SEO or something like that, the reasons that agencies say, hey, this is going to take X amount of time, normally, especially if it's a long window of time, like SEO is the most common one with this, where people are like, oh, SEO, it's a long game. It takes 6 months to 12 months. I just gave an example where we made a Reddit post that ranked in a day that has a link to our client. But that's not your webpage. That's not your webpage. You should be able to start seeing results very quickly within 30 days for SEO related stuff. But what I've seen most commonly with agencies is like, we need to sign you for a 6-month contract. That's why we need to say that it's going to take a long period of time. I feel like, as I've done this, because I've done this for over 10 years now, really what it comes down to is, are you willing to spend a lot? And is your product properly positioned?
Yeah.
If the answer to both of those questions is yes, we can see success really, really quickly. If the answer is no to either of those, I can't give you a number, because like I had a client who's just like, hey, let's do like $500. Just like, you want to do a national campaign with $500? You're throwing your money away. You're throwing your money away. So those would be like my two bugaboos. How's your product positioned? How much money you're willing to spend? And oftentimes, depending on the area that they're hoping to target, like I'm always just like, if you're not willing to spend at least $5,000 a month, don't run ads at all. Because you're just not going to see the return that you're hoping you're going to see.
Yeah. Or making sure you're having those honest conversations to set expectations, right? Or like narrow those. Yeah, we can't go national maybe with that kind of budget. You need to focus
Perfect.
on a DMA.
Perfect.
So yeah, I'm with you. So digital platforms and algorithms, they continue to evolve and change. What trends do you see shaping the future of digital marketing and brand building, like kind of here on the horizon? How are you guys preparing for them?
I see highly specialized freelancers taking our jobs. Because the person, going back to something that I said a long time ago, if there was one agency that had the silver bullet for everything, they would have every single client. Freelancers are going to get so good at specific platform or even campaign type that that's all that they're going to do, and start stealing that business. And then there's going to be more and more, because especially with the ease of communication right now, there's going to be more and more like, if you can just absolutely dominate our Google search campaigns, and like that runs on autopilot, and then we hire someone to do our Google Performance Max campaigns, and that can run on whatever, great. And then someone does our SEO, and that starts running on autopilot, and we just have a bunch of these things running on autopilot. It's scary when you have 100 points of contact, right? But if things are performing and churning really, really well, or humming really, really well, I don't think clients are going to care. And maybe that's a little hyperbolic, where I think like, oh, it's essentially going to be 100 freelancers that are working on all of these client stuff. I don't think it's going to be as crazy as that, but I can tell you, these agencies, especially older agencies, we're already seeing it, that charge such a high premium on their services that haven't had to really produce any results, going to start falling by the wayside as these niche companies, niche freelancers, just start eating up all of their business. Like, you can't really be like, like even though we're like a little bit of a generalist agency, but can't be like a generalist giant agency anymore because you have way too much overhead, and that just inevitably means that your cost to competitors are going to be way too high. So I would envision a world where a lot of those giant companies start losing revenue, and you're going to see a lot of small, medium-sized agencies, freelancers as well, that are starting to take over these things that can't grow beyond a certain amount because even highly specialized, there's only so much highly specialized business that is out there.
Yeah.
So that would be that's like what I envision. That's how I see the future.
Yeah, that's interesting. I
More
mean,
pie for everybody.
Yeah, right. Or, I think there's been a lot of times you're trying to be everything to everyone. And I mean, we do offer a lot of things where we are as well, but we work with a lot of agencies, right, who are trying to expand without the overhead. So like, I do think that probably those kind of relationships, right, who the dynamics are different, and probably more transparency about using partners versus trying to white label, which we do both. we white label and we work with partners, but yeah, no, I think that's really fascinating. We've covered a lot of different things. Is there anything we haven't covered that you really want to share before we wrap this up, that you're like, I can't get off this call without telling you this one thing?
If we're talking like marketing related, it's something that I've already said, and I just want to reiterate.
Yeah.
Beware of the agency that says that they have the silver bullet. I see this like all the time on LinkedIn where it's like, comment wowza in the comments and get my template for how you build out this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, which is essentially just like a lead generation tool that they're using to probably sell a course or something. My big thing is, if somebody has the cure for cancer, they're going to sell that to everybody. So if someone has the silver bullet for all marketing needs,
Yeah.
they're going to make a killing because everyone can just go to that person for all of their marketing needs. It does not exist. Nobody bats 1,000, but it's not important that you bat 1,000 on every single thing that you do. What is important is that you learn from whatever mistake or whatever test that you did, iterate off of it, and fix it. Like, we've had so many failures with clients that have led to some of the greatest successes that we have ever had with clients as well. It ebbs and flows. That's how algorithms are. They're always going to be changing. Marketing is essentially just a game where you figure out whatever the new digital marketing, especially whatever the new algorithm rules are. Like, we just figured out, not like everyone already knew that Reddit was huge, right? But like, we just figured out like Reddit is way more powerful than we thought. They can rank for a head key term in 24 hours. How are we going to start leveraging this for our companies that we work for? So figure out what the game is and take advantage of the rules to your side as much as possible.
Yeah. I love that. And I think the bottom line is like, find people who care about your business too, right? Like that they're, that kind of thing that sums up from the beginning of what we've talked about, like that transparency is because you actually care. You actually want to do what's right for your clients. Not that people are, but I think finding people who care is a good thing.
I just want to say something really angry, really, really fast. We just onboarded a client. I was like, oh, okay. So like, how often did you guys like meet with your previous agency? It's a little complicated way that they're set up, but like, how often did you, principal person of your company, the president, like meet with your agency? Like, I think we met with them once within the last year. It was like,
right.
how you build and trust there. Like, I know some people don't have time to like have those conversations. Some companies are so big, but these companies are like mid-level companies, $400,000 in revenue a month. I'm just like, there's no way that you should be meeting with your agency once a year. So anyways, build those relationships, man. And if you're not meeting with your agency relatively regularly to see what's going on, you don't have an agency, you have a parasite that is just leeching money from your company.
Yeah. This has been so good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, Alex. And for those of you listening and you want to find out more, you can log on to keystonedigitalservices.com, or you can follow them over on LinkedIn. And just thanks again for everyone tuning in today to today's episode, brought to you by Exact Digital, your partner in performance-driven media across programmatic, CTV, paid social, search, and more. Let us know how we can help you, and have a great day. Thank you again, Alex.